Are we live? We live? Hey, are we live? All right,
Yep.
ouchie wawa. That was that's all I got to say about that. So thank you, Jamsters, for joining tonight. I am back after a 2-game absence. John is gone. He is at the Mariah Carey concert, and he might join us live from there with his wife and his stepdaughter, as they all have matching Mariah Carey shirts on. So I didn't download the photo. I should have for the pod, but we'll share it next pod. Anyways, Suns lose tonight. I have Suns Geek on the pod with us as we are sharing this stream. So hello to everybody tonight. Hello, Suns Geek. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I've been super busy lately, which we'll talk about later, but I'm so glad to be reunited with the Suns Jam Session podcast and ready to talk about one of the greatest games ever in Suns history, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, one of those games you kind of just don't care anymore. And you're like, wait, when does that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight start? Because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, it said 6:00 my time, but I'm like, oh yeah, you have to have all the preliminary, I guess, fights, and then you have to wait until probably midnight till that one starts. Unless it started now, Jamsters, let us know the score, who's winning the fight, because it's probably more entertaining than this game and maybe this pod, because we might not be talking about the game too much tonight.
Right.
We'll be talking about having coffee after midnight. Suns Geek has some news and injury news around the NBA. There's just a lot going on right now in the NBA. And for the Suns, they are 1-3 their last 4 games. No KD. There's a lot of problems. So everybody, thank you for joining. You don't have anything to pop open, correct? The one thing I have to ask every guest.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. I had some coffee earlier, got some water, staying up late tonight. So
Yep. Yeah, and we were talking about, I was at Target, and I'm like, should I get crazy tonight and have a coffee? I'm like, I don't know, man, because I got a big day tomorrow. I'm going to be on Suns Planet podcast tomorrow morning at 9:00. Last time I bailed on them because of a certain something came up, but tomorrow I will be on there, so everyone can check me out there. So I got to wake up early for that, and then have a big day ahead of that. But anyways, let's get this pod started. You ready?
Let's do it.
I'm ready. Let's do this. Hey, everybody.
Welcome.
Look at that score, everybody. How beautiful. Not even any triple digits for any team. 99-83, the Suns. So they did lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was a tough game to get through. I think there was a little bit of a battle there in the first half for the Suns, but after about maybe 3 minutes into the third, he knew it was about over. It was another waving of the white flag from head coach Budenholzer in about 5-minute mark for the Phoenix Suns again to bring in all the bench players. Man, what a rough one. Let's just get into it.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Oh, man. So we were talking about before the pod, you're very optimistic, right, about this season and how things are going. The Suns are now 9-4, 1-3 in the last 4 starts. They started the season 8-1. So, yeah, that doing the math, that is correct. So, dealing with all the injuries, dealing with these losses, you kind of figured they would lose tonight. Panic mode, not panic. How are you feeling, man?
Great question. And we will definitely talk about not just the Suns injuries, but we'll definitely talk about the NBA injuries in general. But you know what? I'm going to be optimistic, Suns Geek, tonight. Don't get me wrong. I'll probably be a little bit negative on a few things here and there, and I'm sure we'll get to it. But you guys, you've heard me say it so many times in my videos and even in past shows with the Suns Jam Session podcast, it is a very long season. And I want to whisper that just in case you guys didn't hear me. It is a very long season, Suns fans. It's not even December yet. And look, I don't want to start off, 1-3 or whatever, post the KD and Beal injuries and stuff. That sucks, especially after starting 8-1, winning 7 in a row. But guys, it is a long season. And in case you guys missed it, the Oklahoma City Thunder are an extremely good team, no matter how many players they have injured, because they had a couple injuries tonight as well. And look, I know that the shooting was pretty terrible. And I will say this, love or hate Kevin Durant, there's one thing that Kevin Durant consistently says a lot, and he pretty much says sometimes the ball just doesn't go in the basket. Sometimes you just miss shots. You know, when the Suns are missing free throws and for some reason they couldn't make a three tonight, that something was wrong. I don't know if they were just hungover or tired or something, but that ball was not going in the basket. And I will give credit to the Phoenix Suns here, you guys. They had good looks, they had good chances, but they just couldn't finish it. So I'm staying optimistic. Yes, the injuries suck, but it is a long season, Suns fans. And again, we're going to talk about it later, but we are not the only team that is plagued with injury right now. Matthew, what about you, man?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, I think you hit on something right there where it was a little bit unlucky tonight to start the game. The Suns were 111 to start, but they just weren't knocking down shots. But also when you're relying on Josh Okogie and Ryan Dunn to kind of hit threes or even help facilitate the ball like they were with Ryan Dunn early in the game, it's a lot on those guys' shoulders. I think Okogie coming back has been playing really good ball, but we all know it's like one game, 2 game, 3 game, like shame on me. Because Okogie, I feel like in his third game after having pretty good games back to back, he kind of just will fall back into his place where he's just not a guy you can rely on to be consistent, but that's fine. That's just who he is. With the injuries, having him start over Beal, you're hoping for a lot of defense. So like we're seeing in the chat, there was great defense for the Suns, holding it to 99 points. It's just the fact that the Thunder are like the best offensive team in the league with the efficiency of 101. It's pretty hard to grasp that. It's pretty hard as a fan to sit down and be like, all right, I'm pretty optimistic about this game. Obviously, we can just skip ahead, say it's going to be a loss, move forward to the next one. And that's what we're going to do. I think we have to just kind of just figure this thing out with the injuries, kind of just go one game at a time, but try to win these. Like it's frustrating as a fan at times because you're like, just put forth the effort. Like, let's just see if Book can have one of those extremely great games against a good defense, against Lou Dort, the doubles and all that, and he can just knock down some shots and other guys can help him. But that is asking a lot, especially missing Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. So I understand that there's frustration. My frustration just is the injury thing, just because I know it's early in the season, and we'll talk about the NBA injuries here in a minute. But we just knew, like with Kevin Durant, his age, with Bradley Beal, his injury history, it's like it might be a reoccurring thing this year. It might be, and it probably honestly will be. So that's the frustrating part about this. I just love the 8-1 start. I wanted to continue it. Obviously, it's a long season, but it's just something I have to get used to and just have to get used to these games, right? It's just like we're going to have these clunkers because there's going to be weeks where we're not going to have our guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to rely on guys. Maybe Bobo steps up a little bit more. Maybe Monty Morris plays a little bit more. But these other guys got to kind of figure out their role because they're going to be asked to do a lot coming up this season because, like you said, it's a long season and they're going to be getting a lot of minutes.
You said the key phrase right there, though. These guys like the Bulls, the Royce O'Neals, et cetera, all of them, every 14, 15 man on our roster, I forget how many we have, they need to know their role and they need to play their role extremely well. And that's where I think this team just needs to come together because Devin Booker cannot do this by himself. As we saw tonight, they weren't just double teaming Devin Booker. They were triple teaming him. It seemed like 4 guys at least were locked on him at all times. And look, Devin Booker is a great scorer. And I'm sure we're going to talk about Devin Booker later and everything, but he cannot do it himself. It is up to these guys to know their role, play their role, get Devin Booker open, get him in his right spots, especially the starters. And you were talking about it earlier, man. Even though I'm trying to be optimistic, Suns Geek, tonight, I didn't think there was a lot of effort for the most part.
No.
If you actually stayed around and watched the fourth quarter, our bench, not our bench, our like backup players, some of our two-way guys seemed like they had more effort and energy than your starters did. So maybe you're not going to get optimistic, Suns Geek, tonight.
No, you just started to turn, man. You're turning right into a werewolf. It's scary as hell.
Side.
I was like kind of siding with you at the beginning of the pod. I was like, you know, I'm sick of the injuries. Tomorrow morning, there'll probably be an article tomorrow about how I'm just sick of it. It is early, but it's just an annoying thing. I know it's happening in the NBA, but you just hate to have the good start and wake up the next day with Kevin Durant injury. And it's like Bradley Beal's going to get hurt because he plays so hard and he just he's fragile at times. So it's going to be scary. And then you have Nurk 2 in the game where it's such a small lineup. Before I get too ahead of myself, let's just talk about one guy at a time. Maybe
allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Big Dick Booker.
An 0-for-6 start to the game. He didn't hit his first field goal until 3 minutes into the third quarter. Devin Booker was frustrated, pushing Lou Dort, maybe doing his best Patrick Beverly impression in the third quarter because the doubles were coming and they were coming hard. He was settling down in them. There was no play really to kind of get the ball out of his hands. It was just like double. Oh, here they come. All right, here comes a pass. A short arm pass leads to like a short arm shot. It was just a mess out there to really start the game and just the finish. Like you said, though, the effort was it was maddening to watch at time, even defensively. This Oklahoma City team was very, very quick. A lot of cuts getting to the rim behind the defense a lot of times in the first half, which was frustrating to watch. There's a small ball lineup. They're very quick. They're a great defensive team. So you kind of know like great defense leads to the fast offense. And it was just too much for the Suns, but obviously too much for Booker. And I coming into the season, he was a player that I thought was the best player on the team. Now we see it's Kevin Durant, and he is, I think, number 3 right now in MVP for the NBA, leading the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's just so valuable. But then it's like, all right, well, Book, come on, like give us something. Like, but with the doubles coming, it is difficult, right? So I don't know if you can game plan against that, or these are just games that are just off games, and we take them off, and it's like, all right, we're gonna lose. Bud's just like, we're not going to worry about this one. We're going to lose. All right, 1, 2, 3, lose, and go out at halftime and lose the game.
I'm sort of going to give a mixed answer here because I kind of like how you said that. Like, it sort of is the fine line between we know we're going to lose, but we also have to get Devin Booker somehow involved. And Devin Booker needs to step up and play like that all-star player that we know him to be, that superstar player that we know him to be. Yeah. And like, I know that there's a lot of finger pointing going on and blame going around, but like, I think Tyus Jones should have had a better game. I mean, he played 30 minutes tonight and he only had 2 assists. Like, he's supposed to be I've been hyping this guy up since before we even signed him. Cause I remember doing a show saying there was like rumors going around about Tyus Jones and everything. Like, he's our point guard out there. You're like I know you're a big football guy. Like, you're supposed to be our quarterback, getting our guys the ball. Like, what happened tonight? And that's another thing too, man. We can blame the missed shots and the missed free throws and everything. And trust me, that was a huge factor in this game. But we had like 7 or something turnovers at halftime. We finished tonight's game, and I'm not even joking, 17 total turnovers. That is unacceptable on a Mike Budenholzer team. We had 17 assists, 17 turnovers. And again, I feel like seriously, did Tyus Jones even play this game? I hate to pick on him right now, but it's true. Man. He's our starting point guard. We haven't had a true point guard since Chris Paul. And again, there's so many people to blame here. I know a lot of Suns Twitter is melting down and blaming Devin Booker, but this was a team loss tonight, except for the third unit late in the fourth quarter, because they actually looked better than the starters.
Yeah, I definitely.
I don't even know if that answers your question.
No, I understand your pain. Well, let's go to the next guy.
Mr. Jones and me.
So 7 points, 2 assists for Tyus Jones tonight, 3 rebounds. He was 2 for 8 from the 3-point line, but a lot of guys were really wide open in the first half. I felt like just were not knocking them down, but that was mostly like Ryan Dunn, Josh Okogie kind of left open. But Tyus too, he has opportunities. So you talked about moving the ball around, being the point guard, and I just feel like start the season, the Suns kind of just leaned heavily on their stars, right? Just kind of whatever they want to do on the court, which was really working, right? So Tyus, I feel like it wasn't really a point guard ever. I feel like I imagine like kind of betting the 11 or over 11 assists a game is like something you probably would want to do heading into the season, but he hasn't been that guy yet, right? So maybe it's just like if it's forced into a role of doing it now, it's maybe too late. But like he just never had the opportunity tonight too. So
that's fair.
It's just I feel like there's too many injuries right now. There's too much going on. There's too many guys trying to do other stuff out on the court, and it's just kind of just it's a delicate situation right now in Phoenix, and Tyus should be holding the ball more. He should be the guy facilitating, but also like these guys got to knock down shots. So I do understand the Tyus thing a lot, and that's one thing that's frustrating because he was the one guy I was super excited heading into the season. He's been playing good, but games like this, you want to count on him to get things done, especially in a game where like our defense is playing pretty good. I feel like for the most part, I talked about earlier, like how it was just, they were getting behind the defense, but there were stints where they kind of held their own and the Thunder were not hitting shots. So I feel like that was times like, okay, maybe we can cut into the lead, but it was never really an option for the Suns tonight because they were just cold as hell. Like, I feel like, I don't want to look, but yeah.
Yeah, don't look.
The field goal percentage
Don't
for tonight, about 29%. I'll throw it out there. That's what they hit 22 shots tonight. So that is pretty pitiful. So yeah, I mean, if you want to add anything else for Tyus, I think that it's been a rough stretch for him lately because of just having to get adjusted to maybe a new role. So I don't know any more thoughts on him?
I do sort of want to, like, I don't want to pick on Tyus too much. I'm kind of just picking on him specifically for this game, and I guess maybe the last couple of games. But he is, I don't want to say he's like an elite point guard, but he had that reputation of being the best backup point guard in the league for a reason. And the whole assist to turnover ratio being like the best in NBA history the last 7-something years is true. Like he's a really excellent point guard. But maybe the Suns were thinking, hey, we're going to bring you in here when all three of our stars are healthy. And maybe he just couldn't do that tonight because, again, one thing that I feel like we haven't talked too much about throughout this podcast is the swarming, claustrophobic defense of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So maybe that's why Tyus couldn't get anybody the ball tonight. So I don't want to pick on him too much. And you are right. Like, you know, it's just one game. He's still figuring out his role with this team. And let's be real, a lot of Phoenix Suns players this season are still figuring out that role. That kind of seems to be the theme so far of this podcast. So I understand it's just one game, or maybe it's just a couple bad games here and there. I think he has played pretty well all season. I would like to see the assists go up a little bit, but like, come on, man, on a night where we're missing Beal, KD, Grayson, you got to get our guys the ball, man. But again, maybe that's a compliment to the Oklahoma City Thunder's defense. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're the best team still in the West, I feel like, other than Golden State. So they're a team to be reckoned with. And I have to ask you before. Yeah, and us. We are still the 3rd seed, so it's not that bad. I didn't predict the Suns to be the 5th seed this year, so maybe I should be okay with this because we're going to lose some games. I just want to say, though, I want to ask you, so Giannis Antetokounmpo, do you think, I put this on Twitter, so he obviously is probably not going to be a Buck by the end of the season. I feel like there's going to be a trade or maybe in the offseason or something. So I'm suggesting, why don't the Thunder just go after Giannis? Why don't they trade Chet and then Hartenstein right now with those contracts and make it work, and then get rid of 10 to 12 first-round picks and get yourself a Giannis and just have this team complete? They're a small ball team. They play very well with Chet. Obviously, he's a bigger dude than Giannis, but Giannis at the center position, I think, just kills and destroys. And you could just have him there with the rest of these guys around him. I think that would be the ultimate team to really just win you a championship within the next 2 years. Do you think they should pull the trigger and just do it because they have all those picks? And if you can't rely on Chet to stay healthy, I don't know how long he's going to be out, but if that's going to be a thing, it's like you have your chance right now to get Giannis. And I know you can't trade Hartenstein until I think December 13th.
Probably.
But after that, do you think they see how things are going and they're like, you know what, if we get Giannis on this team, we got a championship this year?
So first off, you were not exaggerating. I can't talk. You were not joking when you said that they could trade like 12 to 20 future draft picks, because I'm not even joking. That's actually how many they have. They probably have way more than that over the next 7 drafts.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's a huge factor going forward. They legit could trade as many picks as they wanted to. It wouldn't matter. And you're right. This is probably one of the teams that has really good salaries going forward. I don't have their salary cap sheet in front of me, but I know they have a lot of good contracts. Sam Presti is one of the, if not the best GM in the league.
Yeah,
that is very possible. But I will say this. I don't know if, and look, it looks good on paper, like SGA, et cetera, whatever you have left from the post trade that we're kind of making up on the fly here, and adding Giannis to all of that would be incredible. But like, do the Thunder want to kind of break up this young core going forward? Like, I don't know. Like, I get it. Like, it'd be fun in a fantasy world to do that Giannis trade, but like, what if it like backfires and you wasted a whole bunch of picks? And I see the vision. It would be incredible. The Thunder have the salaries and the draft picks to do it, but I don't know, man. But hey, you know,
it's a tough one, right?
It's a tough one. It would be beautiful. I might have to try it out on 2K later, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I think if you have a shot to get Giannis at times is the best player in the world, right next to Jokic.
Yep.
I feel like you might have to, especially a guy that's still in his prime.
For real.
That's tough. I don't know. I don't know if it would even make sense. I did the trade. It worked. It just said that you couldn't trade him Hartenstein, obviously, right now, because he has a no trade clause till December 23rd. But Maybe that was next year. I don't know.
I
But
feel
if
like
it
you
doesn't,
and
if it doesn't
I-
work, you can't even pull off a trade anymore in the NBA. It's impossible because of the tax aprons and all of that. It's so hard to go on the trade machine, or there's another site I use for it. If you go there and try to enter any trade, like we're doing in this offseason, to start the offseason, it was impossible because there's so many restrictions and rules right now where you can't trade anybody without having to match salaries, make sure you're not over the second apron. And it's a difficult one, but I think I pulled it off. So hopefully Giannis goes there so I look like a genius.
So I'm going to call Sam Presti, and then I'll tell him just to call you and get it figured out. And then the OKC Thunder will beat us in the Western Conference Finals and then go to the finals because of that trade. And yes, that means the Suns are going to the Western Conference Finals. You heard it here first on Suns Jam and Suns Geek.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm looking at Twitter really quick. I'm just trying to see if there's like an update on the Mike Tyson fight.
Welcome to
I'm
the
sorry.
podcast where
And
we
there's
talk
just-
about Giannis trades and Mike Tyson and Jake Paul.
And I guess there's just like video of Tyson walking around the locker room just butt naked. So I don't know what's going on. And there's a loading problem. The streaming service is down.
I
Obviously,
retweeted that earlier.
you know that's going to be an issue. So yeah, I hope. I don't even know if it's on right now. But Jamster, let me know if you have any.
Yeah. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Who you think's gonna win? Tyson.
Yeah,
or
I'm a big Jake Paul fan. I go way back. Just joking. I actually want Mike Tyson to win. I feel like I thought he was gonna kill Jake Paul. I thought that was gonna be a thing, but we'll see. Someone might die tonight.
The show just got dark, man.
It always does, especially when the Suns are losing. I have to do a pod without John. It gets dark. It's my fault. So is there anybody else you want to talk about in this game? I know I want to talk a little bit about Nurk, but it just seems kind of boring to talk about him. Is there someone else that you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Ryan Dunn? You want to talk about who else you got over there?
I know you don't want to talk about Nurk, but can we just quickly talk about Nurk?
Nurk.
Delicious definition make them boys go crazy.
Oh.
What do you got on Nurk? What's your hot take?
Suns fans, this isn't
Spiced
my
it up a
hot
little
take.
bit.
This is, well, I guess it's sort of hot take, but
Nurk
not
is
really.
trash. Low Suns, that's hot take.
This is why we're just going to keep it short.
Okay.
My Suns fans know me on my channel and everything, and on Twitter. I have been the biggest Nurk defender. But I saw a tweet earlier, and I want to give this person credit. And I'm going to butcher his name, but it's Adrian Ashton on Twitter. And he said, Yusuf Nurkic last 3 games. Now, remember, this is last 3 games. 7 points total, 1 for 18 from the field, 0 for 9 from 3, 5 for 10 for the free throw line, 5 turnovers. So I'm going to say it here on my channel and on the Suns Jam Session podcast. It might be time for me to start eating crow about my Yusuf Nurkic defense, how I've been defending him. I think
I feel like he is hurt too.
That's what I was going to say. In all fairness, he is hurt, but go on.
Yeah,
Go on.
I think so. But also, like, this is a small lineup, right? For the Thunder, the biggest guy in there was 6'8" tonight to start the game. So you would think he would feast. Like, I always remember those games for DeAndre Ayton. Like, come on, go to town, dude. Like, it's a small lineup, but those ones he always struggled against. So it might be something where it's subconscious, where it's just like, oh, this should be easy, but it just was difficult. But that Oklahoma City defense is fast. They're small. They're gritty. They make it tough. They made it tough on him. The Suns did excel at one thing tonight, and that was getting to the free throw line. It's 40 times tonight. They only hit 30 of them. So 40 times. And out of that, Kogi went to it 9 times. Yusuf Nurkic got there and hit. He attempted 8 free throws. So he was getting fouled, getting to the line, but it was a difficult game to watch. I feel like without Kevin Durant, we will talk about him next because I just have a question. Without him, it's hard for anything, I feel like, to kind of flow with this offense, and you just are missing that leadership. It's crazy, but we are.
Who the heck are you? I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
Kevin Durant tonight had 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists. I don't know where the fuck he is. Is he even on the bench? Is he available to come with the team, or is he just staying? Is he at the Jake Paul fight?
He might be,
and he might be hiding because it's like when you call it sick and you go to a Diamondbacks game and they show you on the big screen. It's like, oh, whoops, hold on, I'm not supposed to be here.
I know he traveled with the team for sure. Or no, he didn't travel with the team. I apologize, but he probably did sneak away and go to the game. And I don't blame him, man, especially if the Suns said to stay home. I would have done the same thing. Let's be real. What are they going to do? Like, fine him, suspend him?
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. So
Yeah. And so just one question really quick. So the MVP case, is it real for Kevin Durant? Let's just say he doesn't get hurt the rest of the year. He comes back in a week and a half.
fingers
or 2 weeks.
crossed.
He does not get hurt, leads his team to I guess a second seed or third seed. And this team is just dog crap without him, as we've seen. Do you think he has a real chance at this thing? The MVP of the league.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think because that Kevin Durant is aging like fine wine, this would just continue to add to his legacy. And I know I say this a lot, but I really do mean it. Like, I've studied the history of the league. I've studied the greatest players of this game. Kevin Durant is easily top 10, if not top 5 of all time. So how amazing would that be? Even if for some reason Kevin Durant was not on the Suns and he won an MVP at age 36, that would be incredible. But and you are right. I know there's a lot of like argument between, oh, the MVP should go to the best player on the best team. You know, that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But if we're even just the third seed or even the second seed and he's playing incredible with us and he stays somewhat healthy the rest of the way and we have playoff success and don't get swept in the first round, then hell yeah, he's the MVP. And I'm glad, I think it was NBA.com that updated their rankings and he was third up there. And I think even just tonight's game proves how valuable Kevin Durant is to this team. Love KD. I hope that he comes back healthier, stronger, better, and I hope that he stays in the MVP talks. What do you think?
Oh, well, first off, Michael Cole, thank you. Matthew, love your chin. I appreciate it. I don't know if I have something on it or something, but I love the comment. It's keeping me a little bit more spry than I was earlier. I think that I totally agree with everything you're saying. I think it's a real thing. I think that Kevin Durant is, obviously, when he was playing, it was insanely great. And I mentioned before on the pod where I'm like, this is the actual Kevin Durant we expected a year and a half ago when he first joined the team. Like, we just haven't seen this kind of KD, and now it's coming out. Now it's something where it's like, oh my God, like, it's insane we even have this guy on the team, and we just notice when he's missing. It just makes Book look so small now, doesn't it? Like, it just doesn't seem like Book's the same player now. It just seems like he's shrunken now next to Kevin Durant. When Kevin Durant's out, I don't believe in the dude either. Like, it's such a strange thing to have that much of a superstar, like that freaking guy of Kevin Durant, just the almighty, God that he is. And then you got Booker. It's not good. It sucks because I've always wanted Booker to be the best player, but it's going to be Kevin Durant. And the only frustrating part about that is just like, can we rely on him to stay healthy? But I think we can. I think when he comes back, he might take a week off here or there, but if he's healthy by the time playoff time comes, I'm counting on him to be the best player in the playoffs and hopefully not get swept. But it just shows how good he is. And that's why the big three, where we say we have stars, I don't know, man. It's a tough thing to say when you just have KD, who is just light years ahead of these other two dudes next to him. And you're just like, oh, all right, well, I can't count on Book and Beal, even though they did win the Utah game. They did win that one. But other than that, man, it's just tough to rely on these guys right now. So I do want to talk about someone else really quick. Let me just go ahead and pull this guy up.
Hey, Joe. Where you going with that?
There was a lot of Josh Okogie tonight. A lot. 30 minutes for him, 15 points. He was 6 for 9 from the free throw line, like I said earlier, but 4 for 12 from everywhere on the court. 4 for 12 all across the court. And I just think there was a ton of it. There's too much. And him getting to the rim, he had a lot of good opportunities to finish. The whole team had a lot of good opportunities, I feel like, around the rim. It could not finish. The ball could not go in. And he was he was feeling the frustration of everybody else. But I love the fact that I mentioned earlier, it's too much. A third game, he kind of falls off a little bit, but he just has a good presence on the court. Like you mentioned the hustle, like he's always going to be that guy. But when you're trying to rely on him like tonight, it's not going to look too good. Do you have any thoughts about Josh Okogie, how he's been performing, how Ryan Dunn just came out? He's sexiest man alive right now on the cover of People's Magazine. That's Ryan Dunn. And then Josh Okogie's was trying to find some minutes. Then he comes in, looks great. The last 3 games, tonight, kind of an off game, but are you just loving what you're seeing from him, man?
Absolutely. And you know what? Remember, at the start of the season, he wasn't playing at all, I believe. And if he was, it was garbage time minutes. So shout out to him. Literally his first possession of the season was like a posterizing dunk. You remember that? Like,
Yes.
I think he was trying to show
Yeah.
Michael Budenholzer, Mike Budenholzer,
brother.
right? He's trying to show Mike Budenholzer, like, hey, I can play. And he was good in the Kings game and everything, and he was really good tonight. And but that's sort of the problem, with all due respect to Josh Okogie, who I love. If Josh Okogie is one of our leading scorers, if not our leading scorer, then this team is in a lot of trouble. But again, you guys know me on my channel. I have talked so much about Josh Okogie, the hustle, the effort, the defense, but it kind of seems like he's been maybe a little inspired by like Ryan Dunn, for example, on working on his 3-point shot and being aggressive offensively. That's the key thing. That's what's going to keep earning him minutes, especially when KD and Beal come back, is him staying consistent on offense. And also another thing too, is when you were setting me up for this question, I hope one day, like when we're somewhat fully healthy, I want to see what a defensive unit of Dunn, O'Neal, and Okogie somehow all on the court together could be. That could be scary, man, because for a while it was like, oh, Ryan Dunn and Royce O'Neal, that's a dynamic defensive duo. I want to see all three of these guys on the court. That would be elite, man.
Yeah, it would. And you don't have to really count on two of those guys offensively, Royce O'Neal, obviously, but those other two, you just want the defensive efforts. So I think we'll kind of get there, right, with the rotations. Until then, I think that the Suns down the stretch with injuries, they have the opportunity to really fixate with a lot of these injuries or with these lineups. But it's maybe makes him excited. I wonder, like, do you think like he's excited? He's like, all right, some injuries kind of spice things up. I know what I have with these stars on the court. But let's just look at the bench. Let's see what we have. Let's give Bobo some. Okay, so the Bobo thing, I did predict he would not play 10 games during the season. He played, I think, the 11th or 12th game. So I was very close. If he would have played the 11th, that would have been perfect. But it was the 12th in the last game. Hold on. He played the last 2 games or the last 3 games?
Yeah, last 2 games, because he didn't. Yeah, he might have played in the Jazz game, but I thought it was the Kings game.
No, the Kings game.
I swear I tweeted it out. I was like, Bowman is finally, he's finally playing.
So he played the 10th game.
Yes.
Fuck, I was so close. Yeah, that was the 10th game of the season. Because I missed the last game. I did not watch it all. I was really sick, so I didn't watch it. I saw some highlights.
I don't blame you, dude.
But yeah, I was like, I forgot about that game. So it was the 10th game of the season. So I almost got it. But I did not bet any money on it. What's up?
I said, glad you're feeling better.
Hey, thank you so much. I held in there. Took my meds, I guess. I wasn't faking it, I swear. Let's see. What else we got tonight? Let's do this one.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
Hold on. This is tough, dude. I don't think I put this on right. That's not all right at all. More to me. All right, let's look at this some Reddit story to go. Let's do. So anybody watching, I am Gambit, I guess, doing my best impression of him. Let's see here. Quiet on set. There wasn't actually a lot going on in Oklahoma City Thunder. So their subreddit was, I can't do this. Okay, hold on. I feel like the course didn't make it a little bit harder than seeing within the game was ending. Color pop. All right. So they said that after I just stuttered over all that whole thing, I feel like the course made it a bit harder to see what's going on, even though I like the creativity, the color, and the pop. So are you feeling these courts this year? Are they a little bit more tame than it was last year? Do you like them?
Yeah, that's a good word. They're a little more tame. They're a little more consistent. I like them for the most part.
All right. And Shea Gildress was held scoreless in the second quarter. So someone commented, Shea's thinking it up.
That's good.
Yeah. I may be in the minority, but I honestly like these NBA Cup courts.
Yeah.
Hold up. I gotta choose their character. They have 20 more free throws than us. So someone actually noticed the subreddit. Hey, they have 21 free throws. And they're like, F these refs. Because honestly, that was really all that was going on the subreddit. They're very nice in there in Oklahoma City. And the last one I have is Bill's listed as Nurkic is questionable. We're lucky to even have an energy team. So they said that Bill's listed out and Nurkic is questionable. We're lucky. We've lucked out with some injured teams. So after this, when I hit this, we'll talk about the injured teams.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout.
I will get better. It's in my head. I'm always like, oh, dude, I'm gonna kill that tonight. And then when I start doing the accent, I'm like, well, I'm not very good at that, but I will get better. I have the confidence to do it. All right, don't worry, Jamsters.
I'm about to make a name for myself.
I get so upset though. So I want to talk about the injuries. Obviously, it's hitting the NBA hard. The Pelicans are without Zion, without Colum.
Like everybody.
Yeah, everybody. That team is just done for the season. Obviously, Zion's one of those that you can count on to be hurt. We have Ja. My prediction for MVP this year is out with a hip injury. Not sure when he's coming back. But if you want to list a few too, like there's notable ones out there, and I don't have the list up. I don't know what the heck happened to it. But do you have a list of those injuries? Because I want to talk about them and kind of just go over like. Do you think that's something that the NBA is doing wrong, or is this just something that, we just have to get used to? Because I feel like the injury bug does hit pretty quickly in the NBA now. And it's always been a thing where it's like, who's playing which game? Who's going to be in the lineup? Can we count on this to be a good matchup? And it's just kind of frustrating, right? So I am frustrated with the Suns' injuries, and you can't do anything about it because they're injuries, right? It's an accident. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, all around, it's like, it's been a competitive, I feel like, first 3 weeks of the NBA.
Yep.
Very competitive. So is it just the fact that these guys are just athletic as hell and they're just competitive as hell right now in the NBA and just causing more injuries? Like these stars are just going down one at a time.
Yeah. So while you were talking, I just quickly Googled the NBA injury.
Is that how you do it? NBA injury.
I just and this is on ESPN, man, and they literally do it team by team. Like the injuries are insane. Now, one I was thinking of was like Paul Banchero, for example. Like I could literally go down the list. Like Drew Holiday is day today. The Hawks got a ton of injuries. Nick Claxton, I believe, is going to be out for a while. That was the latest one today. Lonzo Ball, Evan Mobley. Like I'm literally going down the list of all the NBA teams. Aaron Gordon's out. I could go all day, and I know that there's some conversation like, should they lower training camp or just get rid of training camp in general or cut the preseason? I'm a little torn on the whole injury thing, but that I think because I'm a little biased towards it because I've had 2 shoulder injuries in 4 years, and I like sharing that story. And prior to that, man, I had never gotten injured. I've been pretty blessed with injuries for the most part. Maybe like a small ankle sprain here or there, or I jammed my finger or something. But these 2 shoulder injuries in a matter of 4 years made me realize that a lot of injuries are just freak injuries, because that's how mine happened. I was just playing basketball. Some big dude flew into me and popped out my shoulder. And you kind of said it, like the league is so competitive now. These guys are so athletic and they play so hard that injuries just happen. You know what I mean? And we saw that a lot with Bradley Beal last year. Remember like when he was shooting a jump shot, and I think it was like DiVincenzo or whatever, like just came flying into him and he tweaked his ankle or whatever. Like these things just happen. So sure, we could have a whole podcast on like, oh, should the NBA shorten the season and should training camp go and blah, blah, blah. But like, no, I don't think that's the case. Freak injuries happen. I don't know, man. But and I will say this too. I could go down the list and read you every single NBA player who's injured right now. But I think if you are how do I word this? If you want to watch real basketball, you want the best players on the court at all times. You know what I mean? Or at least 5 out of, 10 guys, some of the best players in the league. You want the best players on the court is what I'm trying to say. Some games a player might be out here and there. That's what real basketball is. That way nobody can be like, oh, well, we would have won this game if this guy was out. You know what I mean? You want the best players on the court at all times. It's a conversation for another time. Hopefully the injury bug will shut off. Hopefully the NBA can turn off the injury slider and we can have a somewhat healthy second half of the season. Right now, we're going through it. Thank goodness for the NBA G League, for example, because we saw it tonight. Some of our G League guys come up, help us out. And that's why you have to build your team around solid role players that can step up for these injured guys. I don't know if any of this made sense, like my little tangent here and there, but just shut off the injuries.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. I pray every night that they can just go away, but it's just a thing. I think a lot of these guys can probably play through them if they really wanted to, right?
Yeah,
but it's just about preserving themselves for the long season, and that's the most difficult part. But I haven't really So I haven't really been able to watch a lot of other games, but I just know like the fact that my biggest thing is always like with fans buying tickets and going to see these teams and everyone's just kind of out. That's the disappointing part because ticket prices are so much. You don't want to go to a game and see the Suns and it's like Katie's out, Beal's out, Grayson Allen's out. Like those are three of the biggest guys we need on the court to help win a game. So you want to be competitive. The worst ones are always like when you have like the teams like OKC. It's like you have Chet and then you have Hartenstein behind him. And it's just like, wow, that team is going to be remarkable this year. They're going to be undefeated almost. And then Chet gets hurt. And it's like, damn, like when is he even going to come back? Like it's just it's a frustrating thing just because it's like you want to just see those teams that take the jump the year prior. The next year they're contenders. They're going to win it all. They're going to sweep in the playoffs. They're going to get to the championship, and they're going to beat whoever's in the East because the East sucks. Unless Boston won. Boston, yeah, but Cavs are 14-0, and then Boston won last year, but it's just such an easy road for them to get to there. I feel like the Western Conference is always just so worn out by the time they get to the finals. But I do think that it's just frustrating because I love OKC and I want Chet to stay healthy. I want to see what that team looks like.
For real.
Even though I'm like, trade his ass and get Giannis there and let's see how they look.
No, I get what you're saying, though. They're an incredible team. That's why I said they shouldn't make that trade for Giannis because you have Jalen Williams and all these young, talented players coming off of the bench. You have rising supers like Chet Holmgren. If he would have stayed healthy, might have maybe been in the all-star conversation. I know it's still early, but he was having a great start to his season. And even his injury, man, was sort of a freak accident. Like these things happen, man. This Thunder team has so many assets, so much great young talent. And going back to the Suns too. This is an elite team. And I want Suns fans to remember this. This team is built around the big three. We're not going to win games if they are not on the court. Hopefully they come back healthy. And hopefully when they do come back, we can actually make our damn three-pointers and actually hit some damn free throws and not turn the ball over.
Key to success.
Jam star of the game.
Nobody. All right, so everyone, thanks for watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, please, right now when you're watching the pod to make sure that everyone else can join and subscribe and then see us and be like, wow, this pod's actually pretty cool. We love Suns Geek. We love Matthew Paulisi. These guys do a great job at talking about a Suns loss and getting through it while Jake Paul and the Tyson fight's on. I don't even know what's going on. Jamsters, you're not helping me out at all.
Come on,
I'm on Twitter and they're interviewing Tyson before the fight. Did they come out yet? Is Donald Trump there to cut the ribbon? I'm going to go tonight, Josh Okogie. I guess. I don't know. I mean, who do you give it to in a game like this? This is the worst performance by far this year.
I'm going to go with Josh Okogie as well. But you know me, I like to always give a second jam star of the game. I'm going to say it was Bol, man, because he came in that last like 4 minutes. He had a beautiful and one where he was like fading backwards, played hard out there. And again, that like third unit looked better than the starters. That's a problem.
No, it definitely is. And we're getting a lot of agreement in the chat. Mark N says no jam stars. Kiko G, no comment. John Tran, no jam stars, right?
Yep.
No one shows up. Kiko G says Michael Kolb, nobody. Laugh out loud. And then Keith Nettle says
not available.
Not available.
I like that.
Joe by default. That's who I chose. You go like, all right, who has the most points? All right, Josh Okogie.
Josh Okogie.
So New Hope threw that one out there. And then Michael Kolb does say, or Bobo. We can go down or Bobo. I don't mind the Bobo one. So the Suns do play they're traveling to Minnesota, play the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they will be there Sunday. It's a 1:00 start, I believe. And that's another team that's struggling too. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns was traded to the Knicks. The Knicks are struggling, but Karl-Anthony Towns is playing tremendous ball so far in New York.
Yeah.
Now it's up to the Suns to go in there and be like, you know what? We might have a chance to win this game, right? Is there a possibility they can take another stab at it? Or try to take a stab at it, try to go into Minnesota and try to win, try to pick up the effort and to see how it comes instead of waving the white flag as soon as the fourth quarter comes. Do they have a chance in this game? Do you know, Suns Geek?
I hope so. Like if there's ever a game to flush down the toilet and everything and move on from and get better the next game, it's this one coming up against the Wolves. Like you wanted to, since we're having a boxing theme tonight, you wanted to kind of have a puncher's chance tonight. We didn't see that at all. We got punched in the mouth early. We dug ourselves in a hole early. So it needs to be the complete opposite against the Wolves. We need to come out and swing first, knock them out in the first quarter, and just keep our foot on the ground all the way until the buzzer sounds, man. Got to have a bounce back
Yeah.
win against the Wolves. And I was looking at the injuries. I don't think they have any injuries unless I missed it. So it's like,
No, they're just struggling. I think
yeah, they're
anytime
struggling.
it's one of those things like, damn, like we wanted to trade even on this podcast so many times. Anthony Towns, like trade him somewhere else.
I remember
Cat,
that.
get rid of him all the time. It's like this team would be better now that he's gone and they lost 3 in a row, and this team is really struggling to put it together. So catch him at the right moment. Like John was saying that too. Like I would love to catch some teams with injuries,
For real.
early in the season, but I'm like, you know what? I love the competition, but right now I don't like the competition. I don't want it. I want teams that are struggling. I want wins when these other guys are out for the Suns. And that's the only way to get them is if the other team is injured or just kind of collapsing at the moment, having kind of an identity crisis. And I think that's what the Washington Wizards, we're not playing the Washington Wizards, Minnesota Timberwolves are doing. You might as well call them Washington Wizards. That team always sucks. So, I mean, we might end it a little bit early. Do you have anything, Suns Geek, anything else that you want to talk about NBA-wise, personal news? Is there anything happening there that you want to let the Jamsters know?
Yeah, well, first off, just real quick with the NBA, it's still early, Suns fans and NBA fans. So if your team is struggling, it is still early. We will know the true contenders and pretenders and maybe the little bit of wild cards in February. So just everybody take a deep breath and relax. Everything will be fine. Hopefully the NBA injury bug shuts off. But I announced this on my channel not too long ago, and I've kind of been reminding my subscribers, and I'm actually going to make a public post about it tomorrow on my Instagram and Twitter, so make sure to follow me there. But long story short, y'all, I'm moving back to Phoenix, Arizona. Super, super thrilled. That's why I haven't been able to do a podcast lately with you guys and haven't been uploading as much to my channel because I've just been super busy. That's why my son's wall behind me is now gone. Like, you know, I had to take everything down because we're moving. It's busy. We're packing. Super excited, though. Can't wait to be back in Phoenix. Hopefully you, me, and John can do some live shows together, like real live shows, you know, and film some videos and do all that stuff. So super excited. Just wanted to announce it and let the Jamsters know. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. What about you?
Yeah, you know what? Nothing too crazy, but I want to. It is tough, like doing the post game stuff, because like if we didn't have two of us, John or I, like we probably wouldn't be doing the post game every game. It's just
tough,
difficult.
man.
Like
Yeah.
I missed 2 games in a row. He misses the games before, so it's just a hard thing to really just kind of keep it consistent because life does come up always.
For
It's
real.
a struggle. So I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. I think it's a difficult loss, and I think that you put up with a terrible game and then maybe one of the worst podcasts ever too. Who knows? Maybe this was one of the worst podcasts tonight.
We should pat our backs, man. We did a great job,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody. Remember, make sure to like, subscribe. Don't stutter like me, but like, subscribe. And we will see you after next game. I don't know if Suns Geek will be on, but John and I should be here Sunday. Hopefully we can get it together and party after maybe a Suns win. So Suns Geek, thank you so much again. And everybody go home.